artificial pancreases, drug protocols, bioglues, malware now, our final talk. Lakshmanan Nataraj from the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering is going to talk to you about photographing computer programs to identify malicious software.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. So you see a group of pictures on the left. You can see that there's the Eiffel Tower, there's the Statue of Liberty, and then it's a little black and white, but this is a Big Ben. But if you're asked to group these pictures together using visual similarity, what will happen? You'll get something like the Eiffel Tower's the first columns, and then the Statue of Liberty, and then you have the Big Ben. Now, take the images on your right. Unfortunately, it's too dark, but what actually happens is that if you look at these images, these can be grouped in a similar way. So these all belong to one set of images, these belong to another set, these belong to another set, and these belong to another set. But what's the difference between the images on one side and the images on the other side? The images on the left are real photos, but the images on the right are photos of malware. So now, how do I make these images of malware? That's what I'm going to show you next. So malware is a computer program, and at the end of the day, it's going to be just a digital string of ones and zeros. And these ones and zeros, if you take 8 bits of ones and zeros, you can get a number between 0 and 255. And this is the standard way in which grayscale images are represented. 0 means black, and 255 is white, and all the shades of gray come in between. And when we do this for a computer program, we get an image like we see here. And when I did this on a large set of malware, I got images like you see here, which are, this is one set of malware, and this is another set of malware. And these are all visually similar, like in the case of how you saw previously, the Eiffel Tower, Statue of Liberty, and the other Big Ben. And if I take photos of goodware, you can see like one of the Adobe Photoshops and the other kinds of software. You don't really have these kind of similarity as you saw in the case of malware. So now you have two sets, one set of malware and the other set of goodware. So what do? Build a system like what Google does in case of finding like similar images, and that's what I'm showing next. We named our system Sarwar. It's like a search and retrieval of malware, an abbreviation of that. But there's also another meaning to this in Sanskrit. It means everything. And we want to send a message that we're going to catch each and every malware. We started our system in 2012, and since then we have received more than 400,000 malware submissions, and we can classify most of them with a very high confidence and say that this is a malware. And it has an initial phase as in we first train the system, and then in the query phase we try to retrieve the matches. The big question now is, why is this technique important, or how is it different from other techniques? Because like if you go to conferences, people come up with newer techniques. Like 2 years back, they were coming with Windows techniques to defeat Windows malware. Now it's Android, and a few years later, it's going to be Mac malware. But the reason why this is different and this is more important is because, I don't know how many of you know Rock the Dwayne Johnson, but like The Rock says, it doesn't matter which system it comes from. Whether this malware comes from Windows, whether the malware comes from Mac, or whether it's going to be Android, or whether it's going to be Linux, or even the extinct Nokia, it doesn't matter where the malware comes from because we work on the bytes. And we do not work on the operating system, instruction set, or different kinds of things. And so the same technique can be used to all other operating systems and all other different types of malware. Thank you very much.
I'm going to try and get him more excited before so, time for Q&A. If you have questions for our presenters, I'd like to ask them all to step up here and we will answer any questions you might have about the